Hey everyone, welcome back. We're here now for the afternoon session, trading the Nasdaq futures again. Today's date, January 8th. Just want to welcome all the traders who are here for the morning session, as well as all returning subscribers. Welcome to the afternoon session. And for any new people, if this is your first time discovering the channel or is your first time viewing and you just had a placeholder and you knew you would eventually come and check us out, welcome. Thank you for checking us out today. If you have any questions or comments, please throw it in the chat. Introduce yourself. Let us know where you're coming from, how long you've been trading. That would be excellent. Other than that, we'll give everyone just a couple minutes to stroll in, and then we'll do a quick recap of this morning, as well as maybe take a peek at some higher time frames just to see if there's anything we need to be aware of right now. And then we'll get our afternoon session underway. Samuel, Michael, welcome back. All right. Good afternoon. Last one, trouble. Last one. Okay, we're 5 minutes after the hour, so I'll go ahead and get started. Again, welcome everyone to the channel, both returning subscribers as well as newcomers. Newcomers, go ahead and introduce yourself if you feel comfortable. Let us know how long you've been trading and where you're coming from. And we're going to jump back up to the dollar. We're going to start with the daily. I usually start with the weekly, but I did that this morning. So we're just going to start with the daily and see where we are. Okay, so far we can see there's been a sizable push downwards. We're still in, right, inside the range of Friday's candle. Right, we saw a sharp move down, and we're starting to see a retracement through lunch, pushing back upwards. So we want to just continue to monitor that. We want to see if price continues to push downwards. That was our bias this morning, was that the dollar would start to sell, and then we would see the indices push upwards. And so far, that is what we've seen. But we want to make sure the dollar is continuing to push. Now, it does have a bullish fair value gap here. This is probably on the hourly, because the daily is pretty large. It's a very large range here for the daily. But we haven't even gotten there yet. Right, to get into that daily fair value gap, we got to get below, and we got almost there. Or let's see, what was this low? 102.075. Yeah. And so we have 101.908. So, well, I'm sorry, 102.075. Okay, so it got exactly to the point to where this daily fair value gap is. And then we see the dollar buying so far. So during lunch. All right, but we want to see it push deeper into there, into this hourly one. So if we drop down to the hour, right, we can see this range right here created on the hourly, which we want to see price continue to push downwards and push into that level. And that will send indices a little higher. If we can't get that and this becomes sort of support, I mean, we do have equal lows. If this becomes support and we see higher prices throughout the afternoon towards the midnight open, then of course we would see the opposite going on in indices, where we would expect them to start pushing downwards towards their midnight open. So we'll just keep monitoring that for the next hour or so and just see where price starts to move, and then we'll act accordingly. Take a quick peek at ES. We'll just stick here on the hourly. All right, so we see ES has taken out what looks like the Friday high, which was here. That was the first one. Then we had Thursday high being eclipsed during the lunch hour. Let's make this larger. Okay. Now we have Wednesday afternoon high being swept. Wednesday morning is still up here where this new day opening gap is. But Wednesday afternoon high has also been swept this afternoon. Well, actually this hour. So in the last 8 minutes, it's swept Wednesday afternoon high. Right? If price starts to retrace, we have several places where we can find support and look for higher prices. And it's mainly going to be these two areas. And potentially here. All right, so these are the three support areas we have for the dollar. I like this one only because it also has a retable that was eclipsed. So here, we get down, sweep this level into this fair value gap and potentially then see a push off. That's if we get a sweep that low. It could just find support here and continue higher. Okay. Now let's move over to Nasdaq. Stay here on the hourly. So the Nasdaq is what we were trading this morning, and I pointed out several levels that I wanted to see eclipsed, and so far it's taken them all. So we started with Friday's high. We moved over to Thursday morning high, Thursday London high, swept those. These were like relative equal highs that we marked up. And then move into Wednesday afternoon, Wednesday morning. And now we're looking at Wednesday London high as the next target. We're not quite there yet, but there's a new day opening gap right above, like literally sitting on top of it, which could be where price is running to. And then we'll see a rejection out of there. But either way, if we get there, that means that we've already taken out the high of Wednesday. So we could see Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday highs fall for all three indices. I'm not going to take a peek at the Dow, mainly because that's not an indice that I trade. I try to stick to Nasdaq and potentially the S&P. But if we get stuck and we need to figure out why price is not moving in a certain direction, we may pull up the Dow just to see what's going on there. But for the most part, we're going to stick to Nasdaq and ES with the dollar. So so we see so far we have, well, one thing I do want to point out here are equal highs. So whenever you have equal highs, you want to make sure you note that level for when price wants to return. So that's at 719. It's about 10 points low of the Wednesday high that we're looking for. So let's see how far we retrace and whether we can push towards 16,729. I wasn't sure if we were going to do that during lunch, but the lunchtime hour, big bullish candle. I mean, you see the 11 o'clock candle. We sat there for 45 minutes without anything happening. And 10 minutes before lunch, all of a sudden, we started getting the movement we were looking for. And then look at how that momentum carried into the lunch hour. It just completely took through the Wednesday morning high. And now we're approaching the Wednesday London session high. So with that being said, I'm going to drop down to the 5 minute now, and we're going to just pause and hang out there for a bit. We have the 15 minute down in the lower left-hand corner. And we're going to look and see if price wants to continue higher or if we're going to see a sweep of some lows. So before lunch, I marked out these equal lows as potentially liquidity sweep that could happen during lunch. And there's also equal lows here. So there's two down at 640 and 623. At 26 years, James. So far, you haven't missed anything. Welcome to the stream. Anis, welcome back. Good to see you again. All right, we've just been charging for higher prices ever since the opening bell this morning. So for anyone who went long early, so far today's been a good day for you. I know you can't see him, but my dog is right here and he's bothering me for my snacks. Here's the last one. I'm going to stretch across this level here. As you can see from the earlier morning session, this level here held price pretty firmly. It was about an hour of time spent in this area. But as you can see, price was being held and it created some support here. One more. Okay, no more. Gold trouble. I'm not sure. Not sure. I do have this level here marked up that I want to see taken since we're so close to it. I want to see price reach that level. Um, let's see. Once we do, we then have this new day opening gap. So I want to see how it reacts to reaching this area, whether it reaches it and gets pushed down, or if it can get through. But otherwise, I'm not sure when we're going to push down. I've been bullish all day and it's continuing. And every time it reaches a target, I just seek out the next one, start looking for that target, and we'll see if we get some type of entry here. But so far, nothing's been delivered since we started the 1 o'clock hour. Right? Yeah, since we started, this is kind of where we've been. Yeah, I hear you, Larry. Absolutely. Yeah, that is something to be careful with. If you've seen bullish activity all morning, especially you've seen a big run up, you got to be careful with either pullbacks or just a all out reversal. Um, so it's worth not jumping in at the top unless you have a short time term target that you're looking for. But if you're just looking for it to run, it's probably low probability if it's already, like, since this morning. Like I said, we've gotten what, 200 points at least, somewhere like that. Yeah, since 6 o'clock or 5 o'clock, prices moved from 422 to where we are now. So you're talking 300 points since this morning, um, as a daily range. That's pretty stellar. Now it's done more than that before, but without any news, this is all you could have hoped for. I'm not really good at trading market makers, but if anyone in this room is really good at reading market maker models, take a look at the 4 hour and let me know if we're entering a buy model. All right, welcome from India. Good to have you. Welcome. Yeah, it's mostly ICT concepts, Al. But what you'll notice is, even though, I mean, everyone trades some level of concept that's been out for a long time. Like, no one's really creating or inventing new things. But what you find all traders doing is taking a model that exists, one that speaks to them, one that they've practiced a lot, seen in the charts time and time again. And what they do is they make it their own. So they look at all the rules that would make that a successful trade, and they figure out how to tweak it so it works for them. And maybe it's not, the strike rate doesn't improve. Like, I don't know. But even with myself, I'm sure if ICT watched me trade, he would have a few pointers to give me. But through my back testing and the way I like to see price action move, I've tweaked it slightly to be my own, even though it's ICT. Oh, welcome from Turkey. Good to have you. Thank you, Michael, for reminding everyone to hit the like button, because when you do, YouTube takes that and they start to promote the video to others who are searching or watching videos that are similar in content. And they recommend this channel to them. And some of them join, some like it. Some of you may have found me just that same way. Um, but it really helps out quite a bit. So thank you, everyone who's liked the video. Thank you all for returning, anyone who subscribed before, and newcomers, welcome to the channel. I hope you find this helpful and useful, and you return. All right, let me delete this because it's nothing. It's just me showing that price hasn't moved in 30 minutes. It's been in this little tight 12, 13 point little box that it's in. All righty, good afternoon from the Netherlands. Welcome, welcome. Haven't heard that name in that country in a while, but always one of my favorite places to visit. Michael, I was wondering if you were Danish. I spent 14 years working for the AP Moller Maersk Group. And so your name did look relatively familiar to me. Oh, you work for them too? Okay. Yeah, I worked in the terminal division for APM terminals for the entire time. I never worked for the line or any of the other logistic companies that they own. It was always terminals. Okay, wow. Yeah, I worked in finance. I was finance manager of a terminal in Aqaba, and then several of the regional office, the one in America. Um, Plus, there was one. Well, we had two. There was one that was just U.S., and then eventually they combined that and they moved it to Virginia, and they had one that was North and South America combined. So I was in that one. So I did that, yeah, for quite some time. Worked at the terminal in Los Angeles and Aqaba, Jordan, uh, Lima, Peru. So I've done my fair share of traveling. I did my fair share of working in the corporate umbrella, and it was a great time. I mean, it was a good experience. Taught me a lot. I got my first passport working for that company, so I mean, it's a good experience all the way around. Yeah, definitely. That was how I was also talking about how I like visiting the Netherlands because the APM Terminal's global office is in The Hague. So I was in The Hague 2 or 3 times a year. Pullback entry is your favorite. Okay. Indicator 9 and 15 MA, 5 minute entry scalp price action trader. Trend is your friend. Alrighty. Oh, sorry. I don't know. It's always been that way. I've never reversed it per se. I used to have it was black and red at one point, and I just changed the red to white, and it just kind of. Because I'll tell you how it all started. Because I work in finance, so I was thinking of accounting. So black, when you're in the black, is when it's moving up, and when you're in red, it's moving down. So I started with that combination. And then when I got rid of the red and just went black and white, then it was white coming down, black going up. And that's that's kind of how that stuck. I didn't switch it back or anything. Oh, you're a profitable trader. Yakum. Okay. Vinayak. Vinayak. I'm not sure exactly how to pronounce your first name, but Mr. Sharma, it's good to hear that you're a profitable trader. Yeah, I'll put him in timeout and see if that helps him. There's no need to spam the channel looking for support. All right, there we go. Lime green and magenta. Okay. Wow. That's a unique color combo. At least for the charts, I've never seen anyone with that before. Stairs up, elevator down kind of day. Yep. I'm with you on that one. It's slowly making its way up there. Let me drop down to the 1 minute and see if it gives me something different. Nope, nothing. It's just no way to trade this. Rabbit, no, I didn't catch any up moves. I tried to get a scalp right before the opening bell, and it never filled me. It came down about a point away from where I was, and it never filled me. And then when the silver bullet came at 10 o'clock, I was on the 5 minute, and then at like 10:04 or something, I moved to the 1 minute and saw that the entry was at 10:01, and so I missed it. I'll show you where it is here. All right, so here was the 10 o'clock candle. 10 o'clock candles traded down and closed, creating this fair value gap, which the next candle traded into at 10:02 and then out of it. So the setup would have been like this. Stop loss right here. And then you go 1 to 2. Extend to the right. So it would have traded in on this candle at 10:02, and it would have traded out at 10:04. So it didn't take very long at all, and the trade was over. And it delivered that 21, 22 points. And then if you hung in there and you wanted to take after it delivered with this movement, it created another fair value gap. And if anyone wanted to take that trade actually took quite some time to deliver, just because the stop loss was so large, right? You can see almost a 16-point stop loss, which in a 1 to 2 ends up being 31.5 points. Just pull that to the right hand side. Right, and we eventually get right here. So the entry of the trade would have come at 10:11. The exit right here at 10:48. So 35-minute trade there. So that would have taken some time, whereas the previous trade took 3 or 4 minutes. So you try to get the low resistance one. That's the one you want to get if you can get it. I didn't enter the second one, even though I was watching the trade, because I missed the first one. And generally when I miss a trade, I don't want to get in the same area. And so retracement back down in this area is very close to this area. And so I didn't want to take it. Some members in the group may have taken it, in which they still would have been a winner. They would have just had to wait 35 minutes or 32 points. But 32 points is what, $600 per contract. Yep. So those were the entries this morning. I didn't take them, but that's what we had. Okay. All right, Pawn. Well, good luck. Let's see how price delivers and if your entry model presents itself. Hopefully at that time you're still confident and you jump in. Yeah, it would have been nice. One for 22 points and the other for 32 would have been nice. You're right about that. Right. Relative equal lows right here. Let's see if anyone entered on this fair value gap. Where would they be now? This trade works out, this would end just below where the next pool of liquidity is. And so I can see why some people may want this entry, may like it for that reason. It's really close to the end of the road for me as far as where the next pool of liquidity is. And so far, the range that I've seen doesn't lend a lot of confidence in higher prices for me. So I want to wait and see how the rest of this hour plays out. Maybe take an entry next hour. But while we're waiting, and we're at 135 now, I just want to take a peek and look and see what's going on elsewhere. Um, right. Another reason why I'm not extremely bullish right now is because the dollar is buying, has been buying this entire hour. And for that reason, I want to see the indices go in the opposite direction. Um, Now, it doesn't always sync up like that. Sometimes they'll break apart and you'll see them either doing the same or you'll see the indices not in sync together. Like right now, we have the Dow selling, we have S&P at break even, and then we have the Nasdaq roughly break even as well with a small range. Right. But with that being said, that doesn't mean that this trade won't still work out and it won't still deliver to this pool of liquidity. But that could be the target. It hits the pool of liquidity. The dollar's buying. The other two indices are either break even or selling. It hits this pool of liquidity, and then it also begins to sell. Right? And then it can get right back in sync with everyone else. And so that's why sometimes trades still work out even when the market conditions aren't the best. But you can see how long it takes. Like you would have entered your trade 17 minutes ago, and you'd still be right around break even on your trade. Right? And that's not really where you want to trade. You want the trades where you take an entry and then it moves swiftly to target. All right, let's remove this long tool. Okay, $300 a day. It's probably not your goal, but it's not bad either. All right, so you got 10 contracts for $95, or you got $95 on 10 accounts. Okay, 10 accounts. All right. Well, congratulations. That's quite a day so far. Absolutely. Patience. Yep. While we're waiting for Price to do something, something I did in the morning session that I didn't do this afternoon, let me just review the calendar with everyone. So we have here Monday, Tuesday. There's no medium or high impact news. So there's really nothing to discuss. There's nothing to really push price. However, the price action we're seeing today, we should be happy and feel blessed by, since it's not just ranging, which is what it does sometimes when there's an absence of news. But starting Wednesday, we do get a medium impact news at 1 p.m. So the afternoon session, as soon as we get on, we should see some volatile action. But the real story of this week will come on Thursday, 8:30 in the morning. We have CPI being released, month over month, year over year, as well as unemployment claims. That is what's going to push price this week. So we'll see what the objective of the week was or is, and it's going to be dictated on Thursday morning. And then we see on Friday as well, at 8:30, there's a PPI being released. So those 2 days, we'll see price really, really volatile. And until then, at least today and tomorrow, we're happy with the way price is moving today. But I wouldn't be surprised if we get some kind of retraction, so it doesn't make too much of an expansion before news. CEO, thank you very much. Yeah, we got 77, 78 people. This is it's a good start. It's still in our first hour. We're only 40 minutes in. More money. We're doing indice futures on this channel. So I'm not gonna pull up any other charts to look at. Sweet, 41 likes so far. Thanks everyone. It really helps out quite a bit. Quite a bit. I'm really happy about that. Thank you so much. I'm sure we'll see a few more people join soon. Plus 190 pips. Okay. And indices, pips. I'm assuming that's equivalent. One pip is one tick. So you're saying you're more or less 47.5 points up. Oops. And if that's the case and you're 47.5 points up, okay. So you got in around 680 or a little before that. Either you were able to pick the bottom here or you've been in since over here somewhere. But either way, if you're up that much, man, congratulations. All right, so we finally did get a kick out of this area that it was stuck in, and you can see it's now pushing towards that high. Let me reset up this long just in case somebody did take that long. Okay, so that's 727.75 with TP out this trade at a 1 to 2 risk reward. Oh, you got in at 505. Oh, wait a minute. 505. Okay, so that's 190 points, not 190 pips. What is it? Ersin Islam. I'm not looking at oil, and I'm also not looking at BTC. We're doing indice futures, so we look at Nasdaq and S&P 500. But that's as far as we're going to review during this session. If you stick around all the way until the end and it's 4 o'clock and I'm getting ready to get off, if I still have a few minutes, maybe I'll take a look at it for you. No promises, but yeah, I don't want to bounce around and just look at all different kinds of charts here. I want us to stick to a few. I want us to come up with what we see as targets and trade that way. right? See, there is delivery. There also is the pool of liquidity I had as a target from before launch. There we go. We just hit it. And at the same time, now we have all three indices buying, and the dollar is still buying as well. So that's why I was saying you can still reach your target even though the indices and the dollar are not really synced together, but you are going to meet resistance doing so. And that's why you had all of this kind of nothing happening type action, right? From 12:52 until 11:42 or so, it's in the same range. And in the last 10 minutes, it delivers what it needed to and where it was going. So let me drop this long tool. Hopefully somebody was able to get those 20 points there. It just wasn't the trade for me. Okay, let's see if we can't find some more targets just in case price doesn't want to turn around. Let's go back to the 15-minute and see what we can find to the left here. All right, obviously we have a new day opening gap, which it's currently in right now. The upper extremity is 736 3/4, so 737 would be the upper edge. Let me go ahead and denote that. Actually, I'll just take that swing high, which is just above it. This next one's pretty close to it. And I'll leave that for now. If we get higher than 742, then I'll come and look and see if we really want to dig into this fair value gap, this bearish one that's here. Right. So I'll leave that there until a later time, but let's see where we are now. This back to the 5-minute. Hey, for anyone following on ES, that same time frame, the Wednesday morning, or the London, basically the Wednesday London high is on ES 47.89. Right, so that's the same level that we just saw taken on Nasdaq, and so we want to see now if ES follows. Um, and if it does, that could mean good things for anyone trading the ES. So yeah, let's go high level here on NQ. I want to show the daily. Oops, there we go, the daily. All right, so last week we had lots and lots of bearish action. So we got down to 71% retracement. In fact, let me drop this out. I thought we may see bullish activity this week purely because of that, because we got enough retracement down. We got all the way through this fair value gap to the lower extremity and start buying out. But if you look at this candle, this daily candle, I mean, this is without any news. That's as bold as they come without a news day. And so I'll be the first one to say I'm surprised at what we got today and how much momentum price just kept pushing and kept pushing upwards without any retracement. You don't typically see that on a day without news. Right. So I just wanted to point that out as I was looking around at all the time frames. Wow. Just wanted to make sure everyone saw how strong this daily candle has been so far today. And you know how I always say that price wants to trade 50% into a wick. Right. We have this wick here, 50% level, traded just below, close to the 70% level, and then traded out. So a lot of the things, so when people ask me, how do you develop a bias or why are you bullish today? Those are some of the reasons why, and some of the things that I use to develop where I think price is going next. Let's get back down to the quarterly one. All right, and while we were away, looking at other charts, you can see price is continuing to push upwards. It's going towards the next highlighted area that I had as far as where liquidity lies. Let's go back and just review that. So above this new day opening gap for this second day of the year. So this was Tuesday at 1800 heading into Wednesday. That's where this gap comes from. The level I have marked off at 737 is Tuesday at 1815. So just 15 minutes after it opened, it made its high and then sold off. And so now we're approaching that level. And then afterwards, we're approaching this level from Tuesday afternoon's high, which is 742. And these areas really aren't that far away from each other. So you could feasibly see, one or two candles taking both of these levels out. It's only 5 points. But that gets us to Tuesday afternoon's high of last week. So we're getting really close to the high of the year. Okay, you know what? Let me go back to the daily. There's something else I want to show you. Okay, right. So as we all see that price is pushing and pushing and pushing, and we have this nice fair value gap we're looking at. This is not a daily time frame. This big fair value gap. This might be the hourly. I'm not sure. But one thing I do want you to see is that on the daily time frame, we got this area coming, right? And we're right there now. And this is why we should be cautious in this area, looking for increased highs, because yes, it does want to trade into this area somewhere, but we could see a rejection, and a sharp rejection at that. I'm just trying to fill in some of this space below. So let's just keep that in mind as we continue to trade this afternoon, is that we are on a daily time frame reaching into, I'm sorry, yeah, on the daily time frame, we're reaching into a bearish fair value gap. Right now, we're right on the very lower extremity of that fair value gap. And so we could see price pushing down, at least temporarily, if not for the rest of the afternoon. And especially since we've had so much bullish activity this morning, price will want to calm down and settle itself at some point. Okay, we just crossed over. It's 2 o'clock now. So the first opening hour of the afternoon session is now over. We're now in silver bullet time frame. Oh, sorry, let me catch up on the chat. Sunday, no trade chat. Georgie, no, I do not trade forex. Indice futures only. Okay. Yeah, Daniel. So far, it has not provided a lot of clear entries on longs. There was the one that I showed you earlier from this level that was a lot of consolidation for a while during the first like 30 minutes of last hour in here, and then finally a push out of the fair value gap. We got the same almost here. If you had taken either this entry or this little tap in there, yep, so your entry would have been somewhere one of these 3 or 4 candles at 150. And then it would have pushed in 5 minutes, 5 or 6 minutes. It would have closed out that trade, and it would have only been 8.5 points, so not a lot, but still it was a 1 to 2 based on the risk of this one. So this was a low risk entry, and it's low risk because of the fair value gap to the lower extremity of the candle to the left of the fair value gap was only 4 points. Here to here was 4 points, which then allows you to take a 1 to 2 trade and get 8 points. And even if it was a loss, it would have cost you less than $100 per contract. Lunch. This was not lunch, Daniel. This right here, all of this action was at 13:10. This was after lunch. Yeah, lunch was over in this area, and then this upward movement there. But right here, this was after lunch when we started this session. Okay, let me move this long tool out of the way. Stretch this over. In my opinion, I personally like Topstep. That's the one I use. Joshua. So that's, in my opinion, that's the one I like. But I am familiar with, there's a handful of others out there. There's Apex, and then there's another one, I believe, called the Funded Trader or something like that. But I don't have any personal experience with them, only Topstep. Okay, so it looks like we've reached all of these highs. Right, so the next level I see on the hourly is 789. I mean, we're still in, let me just stretch this across. We're still in. This is that fair value gap I was talking about. So we traded up, hit all of those previous liquidity points, which was right around the midpoint of this fair value gap, which we expect to push price lower. It did so temporarily, but now we see it pushing back against that middle range. Let's see if it can continue pushing and whether we'll get somewhere up in this area and we can close some candles up high. But so far, yeah, I haven't seen any entries. Larmo 67, not yet, not yet. Still moving in that direction. Oh man. Buy market, buy ask, buy bid. I know market is saying I want to get in right now. So it just gives you wherever the market is when you hit the button. But buy bid and buy ask, not 100% sure what those are. But if I was getting into a position, you always want to place limit orders. So what you want to do is you either want to hit this plus button right next to the price, or you want to right click and go down to trade, create new order. And then from there, you want to choose buy or sell, right? The price. Usually this price will be pre-filled in from wherever you click. So what I like to do, if I want to click off of this 50%, I will right click on the 50%. So when I open up a limit order, it's already on that price that I want. Then I just make sure it's a buy. The price is there. I change the units. If I don't want 5 contracts, I'll just put 1. Oops. Then you want to highlight these. You want to click these on because it'll automatically set these wherever you want them on the screen. So whenever price reaches this level and puts you in a trade, then you'll have your TP already set and your stop loss already set. But you want to make sure you're doing limit orders at all times. So you want to anticipate where price is going, and you want to say, if it gets here, then I want this trade. That's the best way to do it. If you get impulsive and you say, oh my God, it's running away, like right now I want to get in, it's going to give you, I'll hit a buy and it'll give me a price up here somewhere. And then price will do a small retracement, and I'm already so far behind that I'm considering closing my trade. So you want to do limit orders. You want to say, if price come back down, I'll get in. If it doesn't, it's not my trade. I'll take the next one. But this was good to see price push to the upper extremity of this fair value gap. We want to see if it can get through and maybe close on the other side. Let me go back to the origin because I want to see which time frame this is on, so I know how long we have to hold it. Okay, it looks like it's a 15-minute time frame. All right. So we got another 3.5 minutes or so. Yep, you sure can. And that can sometimes be quicker. Like if you come in and the same way, like I'll set it up and say, all right, this is going to be my target, and I want a stop loss right here. Right. So now your stop and your target's already set. You right click, create limit order. And then all I need to do is hit buy, because this is a long tool. So it knows I want to buy. It knows this is my entry. It knows this is my TP, and it knows this is my stop loss. Right. Thanks for reminding me of that. This is really the easiest way to do it. Daniel, let's wait to the end of the session and then let's take a peek at gold. No, after, yeah, who was that who mentioned? Pawn. Yeah, Pawn just answered that. Yeah, once you're past the evaluation phase, then just don't violate the rules. So if you have a 50,000 account, don't lose more than 2,000 before you get over the 52,000 hump, and then you're fine. So as long as you don't violate the rules of drawdown, then consistency doesn't matter. Just don't lose your funding. Right, because you can lose $100 every day and then win 1,000 on day 7, And so the 6 days of losing 100 and then the 1,000 that you won on day 7, you're actually positive $400, right? But your consistency is pretty low. It's showing that you have a win rate of 17% or something. Oh, Ninja. Hey, yeah, I'm not familiar with Ninja. I don't know if someone else can help you. But yeah, TradingView is where I'm familiar. That's another reason why I really like Topstep is because I'm so familiar with TradingView. So when I saw that that was an option for them, I think it's also an option for Apex. But once I found that it was an option for Topstep, that was it was all I needed. I was sold at that point because I didn't have to learn a new platform. All right, so now we push through the fair value gap. Let's see if we'll get a close on the other side of it. We want to get a close on the other side in the next 5 or 6 seconds so we can close out this 15-minute candle. Almost one tick away. One tick away from closing outside. Whoa, what was that? First 5 seconds of that candle, just 10 points right there. Right, we're 15 minutes already, 15 minutes into this new hour, and so far, yeah, I just haven't seen fair value gap or anything to bring in a silver bullet entry. Three, four. Potentially, there was a small one here on the 4-minute, but I hope that wasn't it. That's way too small. And I'm not sure anyone would have caught that on a 4-minute time frame. But anyway, there was a small fair value gap here, and this next candle traded into it at 204. And then we saw, let's see, where are we? Yep, that would have been, so it would have been a 14-point win if someone took that. I'm not sure how many people saw that on a 4-minute chart. I know I didn't. Yeah, it's sort of basically taken 1, 2. So between 6 and 8 minutes is how long that entry would have taken to get to target. I wouldn't beat myself up over that one. There's no way someone would have been sitting on the 4-minute chart looking for that. Here we go. That was the entry. All right. 205. All right, 5-minute chart, 2 candles, 10 minutes in total. And yep, I missed it. Completely missed it once again. Twice today, I missed both of them. 16.5 points to anyone who wanted it. All right, Dr. M. Take care. Enjoy your vacation. No, I'm not short. I am not short. Nope. This right here, this pink area, this is a fair value gap from the 15 minutes, which is trying to break out of and close above it. But so far, it hasn't done that. It had a chance just before 2:15 and it got within one tick. And then the next candle opened up, ran up, and now we're retracing back into the range. Oh, you asked, am I short? And I answered that no, I'm not short. Right now, I am looking to see if there's going to be a push downwards and whether we'll see a reversal in price. I don't want to go long since it's been pushing heavy all day, and it's been pretty slow, I guess, since 11 o'clock ish. And so I want to just pause and just see where price is really trying to go. It's been fighting, trying to get through this fair value gap, which has been holding it. It couldn't close above it on the other 15-minute time frame. It could this 15-minute candle, but the last one didn't. And so I'm looking to see if price has reached its peak for the day, and then we're going to see lower prices through the closing bell. Because I showed you that much larger bearish fair value gap on the daily. We're still just barely inside of that fair value gap. And then this one here, this large one is on the 15-minute. And so there's a lot of resistance in this area. So I want to be careful. No, I only trade New York. I'm located in the US, and so London is too early for me. And stretch these out just in case we get a nice retracement. We can see where those levels are. And if you look here, this was a pretty sizable rejection here. And if you remember how that candle printed, it was the first 5 seconds of the candle. It just started up to that level, to that area, and then started to pull back. Excuse me. Sorry. Oh, the ticker. There you go. NQH. Here, I'll show you how you add it. You go to adding. You want to go to futures. Then you have the S&P first and the Nasdaq following. And then you want to expand the Nasdaq, and then find the quarterly chart that we're on. Right now, we're doing the March contract. Sometime in the middle of March, we'll switch over to the June contract. But for now, we're doing March. And if you don't like switching to quarterly ones, you can always do this NQ1 exclamation, which is a continuous contract. So every quarter, when the March contract expires and then the June one picks up, automatically it'll just update this continuous contract. I trade the quarterly only because sometimes there's a couple day difference between when the continuous contract switches everything over and then when the quarterly contract actually expires based on trading volume. And so I like the quarterly. But if you don't want to deal with all that, a consistent spread, because the spread for futures for the most part is one tick, 0.25. Occasionally during high volume, it might spread to 2 ticks, but for the most part, it's 1 tick. So you have a more consistent spread, and you have futures is only through one broker. So everyone's using the same broker, the same charge, the same everything. When you go to CFDs, there are a plethora of options as far as selecting a broker, and each broker will have slightly different prices. Each broker will have slightly different spreads, and the broker has leeway within a certain parameter to extend the spread. And in a lot of cases that ends up taking your stop loss. So CFDs for me is just more, seems like it's more regulated, more consistent. And so I'm sorry, not CFDs, but futures. And so that's why I like futures, because it's really consistent and regulated and everyone's trading the same chart. But there are restrictions. Some countries aren't allowed to trade futures, and that's why CFDs exist and why they're important, is that you can then still be able to trade the same commodity. You just need to be careful with your stop loss. Don't hold it too tight because a broker will come and take your trade. Oh, thank you, OP1. Vanega, you asked, is it? Yeah, Vanega. So you asked, what am I looking for? As of now, because it's been so much bullish momentum, I'm looking to see if there's going to be a reversal, to be honest with you. If price just gives us a lot of energy towards a higher price, then we'll do that at that time. Right now, I have the next target at 789 marked up. So if we see a sharp move upwards and then create fair value gaps and all that, then we can definitely move back in that arena looking for longs. But for that to take place, I also need a dollar to be selling. The dollar needs to show me the same energy in the opposite direction. In the absence of that, I'm not comfortable and confident in longs after already moving up more than 300 points today. But if I get a sharp move down on a dollar and I see upwards movement on Nasdaq like we're starting to see now, I can be persuaded to continue looking for longs and move towards the next target, because there are always more targets, right? I've already identified 789 as the next one. And if we reach there, I can go and find the next one after that. So there's always going to be another one. But like I said, I need to see the dollar moving in the opposite direction. The last hour, the 1 o'clock hour, the dollar was buying, and so were the indices. And so they were moving together. That's why we saw price moving relatively slow and stalling for a while, and just not moving fluidly. And when you trade, you don't want to trade in high resistance areas. You want to trade when there's low resistance, and 4 or 5 candles, it runs to your target. All right, I do see the dollar is selling this hour so far. Let me just take a closer look to see how far it's selling. Okay, it's not nearly as strong as what we see in the indices. And right now, actually, Nasdaq is behind as far as the indices is pushing upwards. We see the Dow is out in front with the S&P close behind, but both of them are extremely bullish so far. And just to give you a little flavor of what I was talking about. I will bring in, because I have several screens, so I'm looking at a lot of things at all times. So this is one of the other screens I look at. And so I have the dollar on 1 hour, the Dow in the center, S&P on the right, and of course I have Nasdaq on the other screen. But like I said, what I want to see is, you see how much momentum we have here in the Dow, how much momentum we have in the S&P. The Nasdaq is not that strong. Nasdaq is probably half of that right now. And we see the dollar selling a little bit, but it's not pushing towards these equal lows. But if we get that, then I'll definitely look for a long. So let me go ahead and move this back up. $12.13. Okay. All right. Thanks, mathematical genius. Eternal the futures. Can you explain how position sizing works in the market? I'm costing the Forex position sizing and not sure if it works the same. I assume not because of contract. Yeah, Jared, I do have a ball mouse. This thing's about 20 years old, but it still works. I love it. Okay. All right, position sizing in this market. Okay, so you see the whole numbers. The whole numbers are split up into quarters. So you have 4 ticks per point, and each point is worth 20 US dollars. So each quarter point is worth $5. But it's different for each of these indices. So Nasdaq, each point is $20. For the S&P 500, each point is $50. Geez, on the Dow, I think it's $5 a point. Right. And and another thing, just so you understand, this is the E-mini. So this is a mini contract. A mini contract is worth $20 per point. But they also have what they call micro. The micro contract. Micro contracts is divided by 10. So each point is only worth $2. So if you have a smaller account or you have a smaller risk tolerance, you can trade micros as opposed to minis. And since you can't trade partials, like let's say one mini is worth $20 a point and you want to do a half, well, you can't really do a half mini, but you can do 5 micros, which is equal to a half a mini. All right, so now we see price pushing and pushing. We also see, while I'm looking at the dollar, and the dollar is continuing its push towards lower prices. I see the other indices also pushing higher. So now I'm feeling less, I guess, I'm feeling more confident in longs. Let's see if something sets up. But I'm not opposed to it any longer because I do see that the price is syncing up between the different markets. If anyone's familiar with ICT's teachings, that is my mentor, the person I followed for the last 2 years learning how to trade. So I trade a lot of his concepts. The way I think about the markets is the way that he speaks about the market. And so that's where a lot of this insight is coming from. Just watching him for the last 2 years and seeing how he sees the market and how he approaches it and which trades he takes. Go into a lower time frame and see if there's anything that is positioning us towards taking a long, aiming at this target of 789. All right, it's 240. So we're a little bit past half of the session. Just want to thank everyone who's liked the video so far. Thank you very much. We've so far had a good session, and we've had over 100 people in the room at a time watching us trade. So and watching, not really trading because I haven't jumped in any trades this afternoon. but definitely talking about the market and why it's either a good time to enter a trade or not. So thank you all for being here and for being interactive and part of the group. All right, if you give me just 2 minutes, I'm going to step away for just 2 minutes. I'll be right back. Hopefully, price hadn't run away from us, but if it does, then anyone in a long, good luck to you. But I'll be right back. Give me 2 minutes. All right, still putting in highs. Yep, all indices are still pumping. But as I mentioned earlier when we first started, is that the levels that Nasdaq were hitting, like clearing out last Thursday's high, clearing out last Wednesday's high. The other two indices were lagging behind on those metrics, and now it looks like they're catching up. But in order to do so, they're making much more progress than the Nasdaq is right now. So anyone trading ES and maybe found a long this afternoon, probably found a pretty good trade. Let me just bounce over to the ES so we can take a look at it. All right, so we had a lot of the same type of price action as Nasdaq, where it didn't really move, and then when it did, and just look at where it's been. All right, as far as a silver bullet trade, here we are on the 1 minute. So you had this at 203, 4, and 5. Then you saw price push out. Hmm. And this one would have been a little dicey as far as where the stop loss would have been, only because it was so small and so tight. Right, stop loss would have been under this candle, which is equal to where it came down to, but that stop would have been 47.80. Wow. Right, so like 2 points. That was extremely small. So if you're willing to risk more and expand it, that could have been a trade that worked out for you. This one never got traded back to, so that wouldn't have done anything. But then we also have this one. Price trades into it, hits the 50% mark, trades straight out of it, reaches new highs. So here's your long tool. Okay, 2.5 point stop loss, 5 point TP. Still moving towards that goal. And remember, I guess the person who asked me about the size of, what was that question he asked? He asked about position sizing. Yeah, that's what he was looking for, position sizing. So this is $50 per point, right? So a 5 point TP is still a $250 trade. All right, invest. Malik, it really depends on how you like doing things. If you want to stream all day, because it's long, right? I'm doing 6 hours a day, 3 hours in the morning, and or 2 hours and 45 minutes in the morning, and 3 hours in the afternoon. So, if you want to be on for 6 hours talking and trading, then yeah, you can do AM and PM session. Um, but if you still enjoy visiting others' channels, or you want to at least have some time where you're trading alone, or not have your entire day spoken for already, then maybe just pick one session. Dustin, you wish you had diamond hands to hold. Yeah, man, if you're held from this morning, absolutely. Let's see the price range, because I spoke about 300 points for Nasdaq, right? But if we go to ES from this morning, and even if we start at like 7, 8 o'clock, let's just go from here. 47.32, right? And now you're talking about 47, almost 92. So 60 points at $50 a point. I'm decent at math. That sounds like 3 grand to me. All right, here's the next setup. Looks like it's going to cash out soon on a 1 to 2 trade if that's what you're looking for. So this afternoon session, it looks like we should have been in ES. ES seems to be a little easier to trade as than Nasdaq, and partially because Nasdaq was running away and was the leader early on, where now it's slowing down and waiting for the others to catch up. Hey, brother free, yeah, it's like it never reversed. It just kept. It would slow down, it would consolidate for a little bit, and then it would just continue moving upwards. All right, so we reached the threshold of this 1 to 2 trade. I'm not sure if it tapped you out or not, if anyone was in that trade. From what I've noticed, it usually depends on how long price sits at this area. So if it goes up to the extreme and then it sits there for 2 seconds, then it'll close out your trade. But if it does one of these where it just barely taps it and pushes down quickly, it won't. It won't close out your trade most of the time, especially if you have more than one contract. So in that case, you have to wait until it pushes through that area, or like I said, it hits that area, but then pauses for 2 or 3 seconds. Then it'll close your trade for you. Um, yeah. Oh, sweet. All right, brother. I'm glad it worked out for you. Oh, sweet. Wow. Good comeback. I'm glad that you were able to get green. Yep, brother. That brother free, that fair value gap you're talking about. Yeah, when I saw that fair value gap, I saw price on Friday go all the way to the extreme and reject out of it. And on top of that, the midpoint of that fair value gap was right at the 71% retracement of the full leg from early December. That gave me a lot of confidence that we were going to buy either today or all week. But at least today it's worked out. All right. So anyone in that ES trade, there's your 1 to 2. That's why I say the 1 to 2 seems to work a lot of the times. I don't know about 1 to 3 trades. You can do a 1 to 1 as well. But I just figure if you're going to risk some, you might as well. And it's not a scalp. You might as well go ahead and try to make more than you're risking. But 1 to 2 seems to work out a lot of times. So in your back testing, test that out. And if someone figures out that 1 to 3 or 1 to 4 is a better risk to take, then let me know. I'd love to switch that up. But through my back testing, I found 1 to 2 to work out really well. Okay, let's get rid of this long tool. But mainly I wanted to switch over to ES just to show that so far this afternoon, ES has been the strongest pair trying to catch up to where Nasdaq rocketed off to this morning, and over lunch taking out several key levels from last week, whereas ES was lagging behind. And then we saw this afternoon, here it is catching up. Let's switch back over to Nasdaq since we did see that ES trade deliver. And look, Nasdaq decided to give no fair value gaps, so 0 entries. And it looks like it wants to run to that target. Tony, what do you mean, Tony? Is that on 1 point? So when I say 1 to 2, I'm speaking about risk reward. So when I set up that trade, I look at whatever the risk is, and then the take profit is double that in the opposite direction. Right. So for instance, if this was your entry, you were looking at this fair value gap, your stop loss will go here. And you see right here, it says stop 4.75. Those are points. So almost 5-point stop loss. And so when I stretch this, I'm going to look for this risk reward just to be 2.0. And there it is, exactly 2. So this is 4.75. Double that is 9.5, which you see up here, target 9.5. Was that your question, Tony? Oh, what could be the goal of NAS today? Oh, that's a great question. Now we just swept this one. You know what? Let's bounce up one more time and see what the next target could be. Right? You always want to look left and see where you're coming from and where you're going. All right, I have the next area marked up. Oh no, that's the 789. That's one we already took. All righty. Okay. Oh man. So on this 15-minute, the next level of liquidity is at 877. But before we run to 877, let's first acknowledge the fact that this is sitting here. Right. Now we've seen these fair value gaps all day not be an obstacle to price. So I would say if we think that this fair value gap is going to be run through and price is just going to keep pushing without resistance, it's definitely going to have to be supported by the dollar pushing hard towards the equal lows. Right. So the low from 11 and 12 o'clock from lunchtime, we want to see those lows swept on the dollar if we think that Nasdaq is going to keep pushing for higher prices. Right. Okay. I hope that helps. Meet. I'm doing well. Doing well. As it's going through a 1 hour imbalance. Okay. Let's see. Okay, so this was the 15-minute. Now let's see on 1 hour. What did this look like? Okay, so on the 1 hour, it's about half that size. It's a little tighter, so it's a little easier to see price into it. And 1 hour should be stronger than 15 minutes, so we can monitor just this one and see if price can break through. It's not going to be easy, but like I said, it's possible, but it's going to need the strength of the dollar, or I'm sorry, it needs the dollar to be weaker if Nasdaq's going to be strong enough to get up to the next level. But we've taken out so many levels so far. Let's see what the latest one was. All right, the latest level was Tuesday, 10 a.m. So the opening bell on Tuesday. The high of the late Tuesday morning. Let's look and see what, okay, so the high of London session is up here and it's relative equal highs. So we do want to mark that up as well. Boom. Okay, we got 1, 2, 3 candles at that level. There we go. We want to put on the highest one. But let's also acknowledge just a few points higher is another one. So price could push there as well. Okay. Yeah, Larry, I'm not sure how the prices between CFDs and futures, how they align and sort of differ, but then do they ever like sync up exactly? I'm not 100% sure about that. Um, but as far as looking at maybe milestones, maybe saying what was the Tuesday high on CFDs, has it reached it? And then what's the Tuesday high on futures, has it reached it? That might be an easier comparison, but I haven't done it myself to firmly say that. So sorry about that, but just speculating here. Bullish breaker creating on a 2 hour chart. Wow, I don't think I've ever looked at a 2 hour chart, or not for quite some time. Wait, is this the breaker you're speaking of on the 2 hour chart? We need to get back down to 731, so we'd be looking at a 60-point decline to get there. And but if you look at the this is a 2 hours, so you're saying the last 9 hours. Look at this, ever since this morning. I even left this one here thinking that it would become an inverted fair value gap and we get a retracement back down, but nothing so far. Oh, lower at the beginning of the move. I see. Could be here. Or would it be here? Yep. Still not great at identifying breakers. I think I know what I'm looking at, but for some of you that are better than me, I'm sure you can help me out. No, Vivian, not yet. Vivian, not yet. Nope. No, we missed the silver bullet. I missed the silver bullet. And since then, price has just kind of been pushing higher without any entries. I did switch over to ES, and ES provided much more entry models for the afternoon session, but we were mostly on Nasdaq, so we missed it. Yep. So here you go. If this is it, then you got your midnight open at the 50% of this breaker. Yeah, that's an interesting position right there. That's interesting. Okay, we're in the 3 o'clock hour now. It's almost the end of this macro time, 250 to 310. Got about a little less than an hour to go in this session. So thank you all for being here, and let's have a good hour. Let's close this one out strong. Yeah, lunchtime highs here, traded down, start 1 o'clock, and then traded right through it. And let's get down to 5 minutes. Everyone, let's keep in mind we just had, I'm getting ready to delete this line, but we just had this area of liquidity breached about 10 minutes ago. Oops, that one, this one. There we go. All right. So that level's now been taken. Next level liquidity above us hit at 877. So got a little ways to get there, about 100 points. But first, we have this fair value gap in front of us, which is holding price. So I'm just going to switch over and just make sure the dollar is still doing what it needs to do. And it is not so far. So far, the first 10 minutes is buying. So just like I showed you last time, and I told you what I wanted to see the dollar do and how that would impact price. Let me pull this chart back down. Oops. Right, and you can see the dollar not continuing what it was doing. This push down, we wanted to see the next hour do the same thing, push towards these equal lows. These equal lows, if it can start pushing towards that, then we will see this candle not be so indecisive, and it will start pushing up just like we saw during the last hour. And we're just not there yet. Okay. Yep, that's another thing. Like we've been pushing very bullish all day, and so at some point there will likely have to be a wick to the upside. So we'll need to post a high and then pull off at a higher route with some level of retracement. So we'll keep our eyes open for that over this next 45 minutes, and hopefully we find a trade that we like. $1 million. Let's see, what's the range? Yeah, 425 to 350 points. Do some quick math here. 7, about 7,000 or so if you per contract. Yeah, you would have needed 140 contracts or so. It would have taken a huge investment, but yeah, it's possible. Algo is acting like the tax collector. Yeah, I don't like it. I don't like it when it just grinds up like this either. I like it when it makes a swift move, then it starts to retrace. You can get your feet under you, figure out where retracement entry may lie, take that entry, and then and go for the continuation. But like this, where it really doesn't retrace much, and it really doesn't give you a lot of entries or fair value gaps or anything, it's not my favorite either. And what it does is eventually you get tired and you're just looking for an entry, and so you take something even though it's probably not the best trade. All right, everyone, 315. So anyone who likes the 315 to 345 time slot, here we are. This is usually when price likes to make a move towards the midnight open. So that reversal or that short that we've all been talking about this afternoon, let's see if we get that in the next half hour. Yeah, exactly. We got CPI and PPI on the Thursday, Friday of this week, right? So news is coming later. And on a Monday without news, I thought we would get some type of push upwards because we usually do. Even when there's no news, you'll still get some good price action. But normally there's a retracement of some kind, pulling back into the range. So far today, we've seen none of that. But let's also remember that last week uh, we had Tuesday through Thursday as bearish candles, and then the previous week we had that week close out Thursday and Friday with bearish moves. So we had 5 consecutive days, and then even if you look at last Friday, it basically closed where it started. So we had a range above and below, and then it just closed right where it started. So we had 5 bearish days, and then a day that didn't do anything. Um, so today was exactly what the market needed to rebound and continue to show that it's bullish. Yeah, Nasdaq today, and that's just to Laughter and Larry. Yeah, it was Nasdaq. That's what it did today. It started moving and it didn't give anyone an opportunity to get on. But ES did. So if you were an S&P trader and you were looking at the S&P, there were plenty of opportunities to jump into a fair value gap and then run it up 5 to 7 points, 10 points, whatever your take profit was. Because ES for the most part moved just like Nasdaq, seeking higher prices continuously. But it did give more opportunities to get into a trade. All right, let's just quickly look at the dollar. See, it's still quite strong, near the highs of the hour. Zero pullback so far. And that's why the others, they haven't even taken over the high from last hour. Right, we're almost 20 minutes in and last hour's high is still holding and they weren't even that big, that large to begin with. Okay, looks like the Dow is right there. Nothing from S&P yet. And the dollar not showing weakness just yet. Yep, there you go, Laughter. Exactly. You had that much. You had a lot of momentum this morning and you had some good trades. And so this afternoon, any sign of distress, you would have collapsed your trade, taken small loss. You would have tried it again, taken a small loss. And before you know it, after three of those, it would have been a loss that you weren't proud of. Wow, top three movies. Ooh, top three. I know my favorite movie is Good Will Hunting. So that would be number one. Oof, top three, top three. I don't know. It's a good question. Let me think about that for a bit. It's a good question, Samuel. I would say number two, I'm big into comedies, but definitely older comedies. So I would say it's either Coming to America or Friday. I would say is number two. And I guess whichever one doesn't win two could be three. But I'm also a big fan of the Bourne franchise. So I really like Bourne Identity and Supremacy and Ultimatum. Top three trading movies. Yeah, Wall Street is definitely up there for sure. There's no doubt about it. Hmm. I like Boiler Room too. I don't know if how many of you have seen that, but I do like Boiler Room. The Big Short is good. Yep. Margin Call. Yeah, there's been some good ones. There's been some good ones out there. Uh, yeah, Tony, that's where all the confluences come in. So when you start talking about what's a good setup versus a great setup, it's the great setup is when everything that you like to see is aligned. That's when I have all three indices moving in one direction. I have the dollar moving in the opposite direction. That's when I have a breaker block with a fair value gap inside. Um, that's when we're also moving in the direction of the weekly trend. I mean, there's so many things that are involved in the A plus plus setup, but that's what you need. Like you need all of those items. And when they align like that, that's when you're able to leverage up and you feel stronger about having a decent sized stop loss. Because sometimes having a stop loss of 20, 25 points is not easy. It's not easy to take a $500 loss on a trade. Yeah, so as you can see, I'm a fan of Matt Damon. So that's how you get Goodwill Hunting and the Bourne franchise in my top list. Oh, a 30-minute candle. Okay, Samuel. Nice. Oh, wow. Cool. Man, you met Matt Damon. All right, everyone. We're getting close to 3:30. So let me move over to ES and see if ES is giving us something different. Nasdaq so far has seemed to have stalled. Not really doing much. There is a fair value gap here though that it might play into as far as taking a long. But we would need to see the dollar's not selling. So I don't feel confident in a long right now, but that could change in a few minutes. Let's go ahead and check out ES and see where we are. Right, same here. Not really favoring the long because the dollar's not selling. Yeah, let's just keep in mind also that from the open, we've already advanced 300 points on Nasdaq. And then if you look at the low of today, it's advanced almost 400 points. So the Nasdaq has really been pushing and probably has exhausted itself. But so far, it's not showing a willingness to go lower. Okay, that'll do it. Professional chauffeur. All right. Got it. That would give you the potential of meeting famous people, especially being in Los Angeles. 74 likes. All right. Seems like people have liked the session this afternoon. We have quite a few likes. I really appreciate all of it. Today's been really good. We got 80 people in now. For most part, we had 90 to 100 for most of the session. Most of our viewers are spending more than 15 minutes with us, which is more than I could ask for. I know in the morning it seems like people bounce around a little more. There are probably more traders doing live streams in the morning, so people probably jump between different ones. But no, this has been a good afternoon session so far. We still have 30 minutes left. Hopefully, it gives us something to use. But if not, we won't force it. We'll save our capital and we'll come back tomorrow. But let's not forget Wednesday, Thursday are the big days for this week. So we want to trade Monday, Tuesday, but we want to be careful. All right, inside of that fair value gap now, we'll see if it pushes out and reaches for new highs. We have these highs here are, I don't know. We have that, and then we have equal lows. I'm more interested in these equal lows. We sweep these equal lows, then we could potentially go for a short. Let's now jump over to Nasdaq and see if the same thing is showing there. Sort of, not really. Okay, we have equal lows right here. Let's get all of these off the screen, clean it up. up there and tap me in. Essentially, we can get rid of this. Wait a minute. Whoa, what happened? Oh, there we go. Around 345. Okay, you said the algo can go to the high of 323 range. Okay, so basically invalidate my trade, and then it could sell off. So I'm early. Okay. Okay, 337. Right, one thing we do see is putting in higher lows all the way up. Trend line almost. So that gets in the way of my target down here is to break this trend line. All right, there we go. Yes, I was early. Let's see if later on it does push lower. I'm not going to re-enter, but we'll see if it does it. Tony, I have four monitors up here. One with OBS for the streaming software, and then I have three others. One that you guys see, and I have another one that's long term, so it's like the weekly, the daily, 4 hour, and then the fourth one is the one that I keep flashing back and forward to with the hourly. So this one right here is a different screen I'm looking at for just the hour of comparing between the dollar and some of the indices. But for the most part, most of my trading career, I've had two screens. I just upgraded to four not too long ago. Take a look at the cycle. Yeah, I tried to look into these cycles over the weekend, but I still need more time and more practice because it's not speaking to me yet. But I don't know if any other people in the channel does quarterly theory or looks into the quarterly theory cycles or the quarterly cycle theory. I've only been introduced to it, and I've watched a couple videos of how it works, but so far it's still not familiar to me. All right, Tony. Oh, my entry. My entry was this fair value gap here. Yep. So it was 784 and 3/4 was the entry. Hoping to push down. I think it was somewhere in this range. I think it was like 10 points or so. So 73-ish was the take profit. All right, CEO. See you tomorrow. Take care. All right. I know last week when we were sitting around because price was doing, what it does, which is nothing during the 3 o'clock hour for whatever reason. That wasn't typical last year, but it seems this year that's how it's been so far. But then 345, 350, all of a sudden things start picking up. So let's see if that does it today as well. Oh, I see. Okay. All right, for anyone who saw my last trade I just took, that trade was against the trend. And so I don't know if you noticed, but the stop loss was only 5 points. So it was a low risk trade. I went in with 2 contracts, but in total lost what, $210 or something like that. Um, so when you're going against the trend, like price has been bullish all day long. So when going against the trend, make sure you're not risking too much, because the likelihood that you're successful is less than if you were going with the trend. Okay, there's that trend line. We can remove this one. You said what made me short? They said what made me short. On the last time when I gave it a shot, it was the equal lows I thought it may run to. Um, I was looking to see if if it had made a market structure shift, which it hadn't done yet. So it was more of, I saw the equal lows down there. I know it likes to retrace during this hour time frame, and we were 25 minutes away from the end of the hour. And so I thought it was worth giving it a shot. A continuation down. Okay. Good to have you in the room, Dave. Welcome back. Welcome back. I know some people in this room are also followers of yours, and maybe even be mentees of yours. Okay, Ray. I hear you. All right, is this that short retracement you were talking about? Pushing for lower prices? No. Drop this quarterly cycle just because, make it a little cleaner to see. All right, we also lost this trend line. Not that it mattered much, but it's good to see when the trend is broken. Right. $7.90. All right, we're getting close to the end of the day, so this is when price wants to make its final move. Anyone waiting for it? Here you are. Let's see. This is probably a lower risk. 793, 801. An 8-point stop loss on it. Yeah, that would have likely stopped me out if I was looking for a short there. Flip a coin. Yep, see, there it is. Now you get a new high of the day. Look at that go. Who would have thought we'd had a day like today with zero news happening? All right. Yeah, we're in the last 10 minutes of our session today. Any final comments or questions, please throw it in the chat. What platform am I trading from? This is TradingView. It's a free platform for trading. It's linked to many different brokers. So a lot of times you can log into TradingView from your broker. In this case, I'm trading on it was a little slower, but you guys made up for it this afternoon. Thank you very much for your support. And look at that, still making highs. I'm going to remove these lows just so they're not on the chart tomorrow morning. And if they're still relevant, we'll redraw them. But I don't want to leave them here and then 3 weeks from now come back and see the line there and not know what it's from. All right. Thanks, Ray. Thanks, Ray. I'll catch you on the next one. All right. Thank you very much. Yeah. Tomorrow's another day. We'll try to be 1% better and see if that produces the results we're looking for. And again, any final questions or comments? Throw it in the chat now. And where's the guy who asked me to take a look at gold for him? Mm-mm-mm. All right, Jeremiah. Thank you. Thank you for joining again, and we'll catch you on the next one. All right, everyone. We're getting down to the last minute. I don't want to cut it before our time expires, just in case somebody has a question or a comment they want to ask in the chat. But I don't want to. I don't want to hang on too long after our time today. Even at 359, it's still pushing for higher prices. Oh man. There it is. Higher price. All right, Tony, thank you very much. All right, everyone. I will hope tomorrow isn't a dud because of yeah, that's true. It ran so hard today, and tomorrow doesn't have any news. So yeah, let's see if tomorrow is a pullback day and we erase some of today's momentum. But we'll see. We'll figure that out tomorrow when we get there. So again, thank you everyone for joining. If you haven't subscribed, please do so. You'll get the invitation for all future live streams. So that'll keep you linked and connected to what we're doing. If you haven't liked the video yet on your way out, please do so. And yeah, we're back at it tomorrow morning at 9:15. So 15 minutes before the opening bell. Just if you're subscribed already, you should see an invitation somewhere in your suggested feeds, or if not, 30 minutes before we go live in the morning. If you have the notifications on, you will get a notification that we're going live. And then once we are live, then you'll get another confirmation that we're on and you should jump on. So again, thank you everyone for today. It wasn't very fruitful, but if you just look at the market from open to close, it was dynamic. So you have days like this. But anyway, cheers. Thank you everyone. I had a good time and I hope you did too. And I'll see you on the next one.